So when is ablution necessary? When is it necessary to perform ablution? That is, when is it preferable to perform ablution, not compulsory. So when is it sunnah to perform ablution? It is sunnah to perform ablution at the following times. The first is reciting the Quran. Whenever you want to recite the word of Allah, it is preferable to perform ablution. Then also, when you want to sleep at night, you perform ablution. It's part of the sunnah that you perform before you sleep. So, and also before you perform your ghusl, you also perform ablution before you perform ghusl. Ghusl, we explained the meaning of ghusl in the first video. So ghusl refers to the complete washing of the body, so the legislated way. So whenever you want to perform this ghusl, it is sunnah to perform ablution before it. So there are two things involved in this case. So when we say before ghusl, it means before the actual bath itself, and it also means before a person, for instance, a person does something that requires ghusl, and he is not ready to perform the ghusl yet, so allowed is allowed to delay the ghusl. So if you want to do certain things like eat or sleep, it is preferable to also to perform ablution. So the next is before each prayer. Before each prayer, it is also part of the sunnah that you perform ablution before each prayer. You can decide to perform ablution, a single ablution for more than one prayer. So that is for more than one compulsory prayer. So, but you can, it is better to perform ablution for each prayer. The Prophet usually do this. He used to do this. So after every nullifier of ablution, it is also good to perform ablution. We have taken the nullifiers of ablution, so by now we should know the nullifiers of ablution. So after every nullifier, you perform another ablution. So wiping, there are certain parts we wipe during ablution. So we're mentioning three. The first is footwears. We explained that in the coming slide. Then the next is bandage. The bandage, if a person has a wound and he has bandage over it, if pouring water on the bandage will cause harm to him, then he's allowed to wipe it. So he's allowed to wipe it. But this wiping has a limit. There's a time he has to stop, and that is when the wound heals. Once the wound has healed, he's no longer allowed to wipe the bandage. Of course, this is very straightforward. So and also the turban, the person is allowed to wipe the turban when he has it on his head. He is allowed to wipe over the turban. So although there are some conditions that some scholars gave regarding turban, but we will not be going into that now, as we have promised in the first video. So we will only be mentioning the turban, and we will only be mentioning the wiping of the turban without going too deep into it. So you are allowed to wipe the turban as well. So the next slide, that is where, remember I said we take the footwears, we talk about footwears. So the footwears we are referring to here are, the footwears like socks or stockings, and similar footwears like that. So it is allowed to wipe over them when you perform ablution. When you perform ablution, instead of washing the leg, you can wipe over these footwears. So what are the things we'll be talking about under these footwears? The first is the conditions that must be fulfilled before you are allowed to wipe over the footwear. The first is purity of the wear and the wearer, that is, purity of the footwear and also the person wearing the footwear. So both of them must be pure. They must be pure from physical impurities. So they must be pure from physical impurities. And also, a person must perform ablution. The person putting it on must be in a pure state, that is, he must have performed ablution, the complete ablution, washing the leg, and before putting it in the footwear. So the wear and the wearer have to be pure. So, and also proper covering of the leg. So the footwear has to cover the leg completely without leaving any part of the leg that ordinarily should have been washed. Any part of the leg that should have been washed up to the ankle should not be left out. So it must cover the foot very well. So there should be no space or any. It shouldn't be a torn socks or stocking. I hope you get that. So, and also the halal nature of the wear. The footwear has to be something halal. The socks or stockings has to be something halal. What do we mean by this? That is, it must not be something that is stolen, or perhaps the material it is made of is a material that is forbidden, like silk. So it must be something that is halal. So silk is forbidden for men. So method, how do you wipe over this footwear? You wipe the top, the top of the footwear only. That suffices. You just wipe the top of the footwear. So the next is the time limit. What's the time limit? So there are two things involved in this time limit. There are two categories of people: the non-traveler and the traveler. The non-traveler, the one staying at home, he can continue to wipe his leg for 24 hours. Can continue to wipe his leg for 24 hours. So, and the person traveling can continue for 72 hours. He can continue for 72 hours. So, at what point do you begin this counting? At what point do you begin to count the hours? From the nullification of the first wudu? The first wudu you made after putting it on, the nullification of that wudu, the nullification of that wudu is the time you begin to count. The time you nullify that wudu is the time you begin to count. So that is when the time begins, and it will end in the appropriate time, either 24 hours or 72 hours, depending on the state of the person. So this is where we'll stop in this video. Uh, in the upcoming video, we continue with yet another topic under purification. So if you like this video, kindly subscribe. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.